you're seeing it instantly.
Well, what do you want to do? Just put it in a question.
You can, I can't.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
sum it up.
You've got it then.
Okay, guys, we're going live.
I need to send you information. How do I do that?
Right, so welcome to WPT King of the Stacks, brought to you by Shuffler Poker at Emperor's Palace. Day 2 of the live reporting from myself, Alex Cage.
David Dapper.
Hope you are having a great Saturday. It's been quite amazing with the weather. Of course, it's been amazing with the weather inside here at the Theatre of Marcellus. I hope you have been following the live blog, which has been going up on the website on Shuffler Poker. Let's talk a little bit about what's been going on and show you what's happening here over the past 24 hours.
We're currently on the floor here at the semi-freeze on day 1. We're on level 5 at the moment. So the blinds are 500, 1,000. Average stack is still around 75,000.
As you can see behind me is my table. We've got quite an interesting table here. We've got the South African legend Ray Rami sitting there as well. My boy Imi all the way to Cape Town. We managed to pull the same table. How's that for you? Play's been interesting.
So let's take a walk around the room and see if any familiar faces pop up and what the chip stacks are looking like.
So the money bubble just broke. I'm sitting on 2.5 million. There's 3 tables left. 360k on top. Let's see what happens. We'll catch up with you guys after the break.
Right, so as you can see, it's been a pretty exciting day to say the least. And as you can see behind us, that's where it's all going down. I'm not talking about the tree that's attacking me. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But it's been a super exciting day with the semi-freeze.
Yeah, the semi-freeze, and it's getting right down to the nitty-gritty now. I think there's 15 players left.
Yep.
So this is where it really starts getting exciting. Players are all on edge.
Yeah.
Everyone's tense. Everyone's because they're quite close to what is quite a great first prize for this event.
Absolutely.
So the total today, the total prize pool we have was 1.4 million today, and first is taking on 360,000.
Which is a lot of money. I mean,
It is, yeah.
it's quite special, and that's never mind the trophy that, as you can see, Thanks to Shuffler Poker and WPT as well as Emperor's Palace they put together. Some of the trophies that are here as well, you'll see the WPT Ladies and Gentlemen Championship and the Omaha Championship is currently underway as we speak. They are on a dinner break at the moment. Let's just quickly go back up. There's some of the other hands that you may want to know. So the first place, 360,000 rand, 240 grand for second, and 150 up until third. And the places have been playing up until the 24th stage. And I can know what 24th place at least. And some of the payouts that have been sent to us already, which is quite exciting. We will discuss that a little bit later as we go along. But we're going to be going throughout the next 10 days, 9 days in fact, discussing all the hands that have been played. Quickly before we get into those hands that have been played, the payouts so far, just to let you know some of the guys that have been coming through. Coming in 24th place, and you're going to have to help me with some of these names here. Yeah. It was Ebro who came in with 14.5 grand, as well as Blade Hamilton and Mr. Vilkos, who we'll come back to a little bit later. He had a very interesting hand a little bit earlier today, which thanks to Fabian, he's covered the technicalities of it. We'll discuss that a little bit later. Also, then coming in at 21st was Eugene Duplessis, cashed in at 18,000. Conrad Kutzer, who came in at 18 grand as well, and Gary Allen, also 18,000. And then we got to the 18, 17, the 16th places were all cashed in 22 grand. Martin Maroon, Alton Chin, who could also talk a little bit earlier, I think he had a hand. And then Dale Naidu came in at 22 grand as well. So well done to all those guys. We're on the top 15 at the moment, and we'll get to the chip counts as we go along. I think the average chip count is about 1.6.
Average stack is about 1.6, so the players are playing average about 13 big blinds.
How does that fare in comparison to like other tournaments and well, I don't want to say other tournaments, but this event?
Yeah.
How does it fare at the moment?
So we are quite late in the tournament. Obviously, 15 players left. 13 bigs is quite shallow, but what does happen now is very exciting because people have to play. They have to get their money into the middle. They have to start taking chances. They have to try stealing blinds. They have to try double up now because
this is where it's getting up to crunch time. And with those big blinds, I mean, this was something that's as well. I would say the amateur amongst myself here and Chris. When you talk about 13 bigs, that's just a bit of lingo that comes with the poker playing. It's 13 big blinds effectively that you have as you check out.
So when the players come back from the dinner breaks now,
I think in about 12 minutes.
Their blinds will be 60,000, 120,000 with the 120,000 big blind ante. So we're starting with 300,000 in the middle.
Yeah.
300,000 chips in the middle before any cards are dealt out.
And then that's big. I mean,
So
that
it's
can
worth playing for. Every
that's
single hand is
literally
worth playing
event
for.
and tournament changing. If you want to put it that way. Right, so let's talk about some of the hands that happened throughout the day. So we mentioned him a bit earlier, and we struggle with his name with all due respect. Sorry, sir, it's Mr. Vilkos. We're going with Mr. Vilkos, who has already cashed in at 22nd place. He cashed in with 14,500 rand. But a bit earlier, we saw a hand where he doubled up in the early stages. In fact, on level 13, where, as we spoke about yesterday, that lifeline proverbial lifeline ended for the guys to have the add-ons. And the blinds were at 3,000, 6,000. Let's talk a little about that. The ante 6,000. What happened?
From what I can tell from the hand here is Mr. Vilkos went all in under the gun,
Okay.
which is, for those who don't know, is the person directly left to the big blind. We call that under the gun because they're the first to act pre-flop.
Right.
That's just a little.
So that's obviously, yeah, for the guys starting out, I mean, that's the first act.
Yeah.
Right.
So he went all in for 58,000 and got called by Moon Khan, who's one of my favorite people on the planet, actually. He's just so much fun to be around, and he's been playing poker for years. We all know him, we all love him. Who called him? They showed down Queen 10 of diamonds for Mr. Vilkos and Ace 8 off for Moon, and Mr. Vilkos just flopped a 10 and held up.
Let's
And
check
that was that.
with now with Moon Khan, as you were talking about a little bit earlier. I'm assuming that's MK. Yeah, he's currently sitting third on the chip count when we last checked in, and I mean he was sitting with 2,230,000 chips, which is
It's pretty decent.
which is pretty decent.
It's in this structure, in this tournament, it's a playable stack. As you said,
Yeah.
you mentioned, he is third in chips, so only two people have more chips than
Yeah,
him.
no, so he's not doing
So
too badly
he's
at
not
all.
doing too badly, but also the pressure is on because players that have less chips than him one wrong move can cost them half a stack, can cost them 3/4 of a stack, and then the positions will just switch around, you know?
Yeah.
So
When it comes to these these sizable chip stacks, you want to put it that way, do the guys start bullying?
it is advisable.
Yeah.
I mean, when I play in poker tournaments, the reason I try and accumulate chips is so that I can take charge of the table. And
I like how that's a nice way of saying it. I call it bullying because I'm normally the one of the less or the lesser chip stack, and the guys start bullying me, which is normally what happens.
it is what you're supposed to do with the chips, to accumulate more chips, because at this point people are scared. There are pay jumps here to consider. People are trying to get to as much money as they possibly can.
Yeah.
So they're more than likely not going to be too brave about their chip stacks. So you can take advantage of it if you're Michael Klacher, for example.
Yeah. Who's currently sitting in as the chip leader at the moment.
What was it?
5,350,000,
so
which is
he's
quite
in a
big.
really good. He's in a really good spot right now because he does have a lot of chips, and he is also he's a friend of mine. I know exactly how he plays and what he does, and I do think that this is gonna suit him quite well right now.
Yeah, and so we'll carry on talking about all the hands, but we did speak to a gentleman by the name of Brent Graham a little bit earlier today, who had a competition running thanks to his social media, and this is the video, and this is how it went down.
Well, here I am going out 120th position. I must say I don't play a lot of poker, and I think I found out why today. I just don't have the patience for the game. I must have got up to about top 5 in chips, and 5 minutes later I was out the tournament. I could see the pros at the table, couldn't believe it, like they were rubbing their hands in glee. But another great experience, great atmosphere, lovely to test yourself against the pros, and a big shout out to GG Gaming for putting me up, Gary Lenton. We do a sports betting show every Thursday on YouTube. And we had a lot of guys following with interest, and unfortunately, guys, I know I was trying to cash for you all and unfortunately let you down, but it really has been a great experience. I even got to play against the defending champion on night 1, and he actually bowed out ahead before me, so I guess I can be happy about that. It was quite an exciting hand. He called an all-in with a pair of queens. I also had a strong hand, I had ace king, but I eventually folded, and we had another pair of jacks at the table, folded, and eventually it was pair of queens up against ace king, and the ace came on the flop, and that was the end of him. And as for me, the last few hands I played are actually a bit of a whirl at the moment, and I think I'll stick to my sports betting for a while and hopefully come back next year.
Right, so super exciting competition, and you can watch the social media pages for the competition winner. It's good to see other guys getting involved and encouraging folks to get involved with the different hands that are being played and guess, where is he going to place, where is he not. And thanks, Brent, thanks for getting involved with that as well. Let's talk about another hand that happened today. Mr. Nahum, is it Nahum Lim? Nahim Lam, right?
So we just
that's
refer to him as Lam.
Lam,
In
okay,
the
cool.
poker community, everyone just calls him Lam.
And of course, this is all up on the Shuffle Up Poker blog, which you can catch on the website as well. Level build his stack, level 13 as well. The cutoff and blinds 3,000, 6,000. Let's talk about Sean Govender using the cutoff position.
Yeah. So raising from cutoff is very, very, very standard practice now. So cutoff is the position right of the button. So it is basically the second best position post flop that you can have in poker.
Why?
Because you're second last to act.
So you can basically see everything that's going
you
on.
get all the information before it gets to you.
Great.
So raising in that spot will usually fold out the button, which means that you will have position. So you are last to act. Everyone has to do whatever they need to do before.
Is that a technique that a lot of guys will try to do, that you kind of get the last player effectively to fold so that you have that power?
Yes. So it used to be just the button. The button used to be a place where people would would raise pre-flop quite widely, so not always necessarily with the best hands, but to try and steal the small and the big blind and the ante and things like that. But as the game has progressed and as the game has become more aggressive, cutoff and the position right of that, which we now call hijack, because it has hijacked essentially the cutoff and the button positions.
You see all these terms for a new poker player will be like, I've got to write these things down. I can just imagine somebody, a novice or somebody sitting there going, okay, cool, wait, I've got the right term for this position. Give me a second, I'll be right back. Okay, so let's talk about what happened. So he came through and it was Lam causing the second. Okay. Oh, by the way, just as some extra info, just to give you an idea that Lam, he came second in the Super High Roller Satellite, which is massive.
Yeah,
I mean, he's not, by no stretch of the imagination a good player.
He does have a ton of caches with WPT. I mean, they're just, if you look at his stats list, there's just cash. Basically, he basically cashes at least a tournament every series, which is quite impressive.
He's definitely a player that we got to keep in mind. I mean, just took a look at some of his history, and you can also catch this up on the Shuffler Poker website. Coming in 2016 in the deep stack, he cashed in a 64,500 rand, which is obviously quite a bit of cash. Also looking at April 2015, that main event coming in at 262,000. I mean, did you play that event?
2015 main event? No, I don't think I played that.
2016 WPT that happened in April with the high roller, coming in a third with 440,000, and of course the big one, the high roller, earlier last year, March 2018, 450,000 rand.
Yeah,
it's a lot of money, and those kind of those kind of games, he's coming through with a lot of technique.
Yeah. So Naim, he's a really solid player, and he has this ability to just know exactly what cards you have. It's quite freaky sometimes playing with him, because you wouldn't have actually given that much information, and you'll fold. For example, he's like, you folded 9-8 of spades, didn't you? And you did, and you're like, how did he know this? How did he know this? He's got
that X-ray vision.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the hand that he played today, so we can actually chat about it and go through it hand by hand. So level 13, as we said, with Sean Govender, what happened?
So Sean raised out of the cutoff, which is pretty standard. He raised to 16,000, which is also becoming. So there used to be a practice where you would raise 3 times the big blind as a standard raise.
Right.
We're seeing that is becoming less now. So
why?
So the reason for that is that you can raise more hands, basically, so that you don't lose as many chips when you're raising, and you don't commit as many chips to every single pot. So you can broaden the type of cards that you raise with. So raising between 2.3 and 2.5 times the big blind has become more industry standard, if you want to call it that. So we see that here as well. Instead of to 18,000, he raises to 16,000. Lam in the small blind then 3 bets him, which means he raises again and makes it 40,000.
Now immediately, this as a player puts Sean going, what does he have?
And Lam is not one to just throw his chips away.
Yeah.
So you can believe that he has the cards to back it up.
Okay.
Is what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking.
More often than not.
Yeah, more often than not.
There's this very well-known term called bluffing, which is obviously a potential.
He could just have nothing and just be going mad, but it's unlikely.
Re-raises to 40,000, Sean calls.
Sean calls. The flop comes ace 4-3 with two clubs, and they both check.
Now, after this check, this is now something that would confuse an amateur player like me, for example, where I'm watching this going on. Lam goes and re-raises to 40,000.
Yeah.
Sean calls, the flop comes, and then they check. Nobody's betting.
No one bets.
What's going on?
Well, there's a few possibilities. There is the possibility that they both missed and that they're both scared to play the flop. There's a possibility that one of them could be trapping. They could have flopped something massive, for example. Maybe
and now they're just waiting to see how the other player reacts to something.
Maybe ace king or ace queen, one of them is holding, and they're just trying to induce some play from the other player to get chips into the middle.
Right.
Trapping, as we call it. So the turn comes down 7 of hearts, I think it was, and that's a pretty nothing card.
Because and
it shouldn't affect this hand.
It shouldn't. By no means does it affect either ace 4 or 2, because I mean you're not even looking. Well, you may be looking at
there's nothing there. And with the action pre-flop, so with the raise and the re-raise and the call, you're not expecting a 7 to have any sort of significant impact, because what could a 7 do, if you know what I mean? So pocket 7s maybe makes 3 of a kind here, but we're not thinking that pocket 7s are in play here.
No,
at this
I
point.
don't think so. All right, and then Lambert's 40,000. Sean calls.
Sean calls. Sean calls.
So if you are wondering, we are busy looking
we're
at the screen. So to go through. So the turn comes as a 7 of hearts, and Lam bets 40,000. Sean calls.
Yes. So here, what I'm thinking is that Lam has checked his ace on the flop, which is a pretty standard thing to do if you're trying to, again, induce an aggressive player to bluff at you, so that you can get more chips into the pot. Sean, I'm thinking, might have a pocket pair, maybe 9s, 10s, jacks, or is on a flush draw with either the hearts or the clubs, because there are 2 flush draws out there on that board. And he's just calling to peel off a river to try and find his hand.
Yeah, absolutely.
And do what he can do. The river then comes down a 4 of spades, so none of the draws complete. No flushes there. The 4 again shouldn't have an impact on, like, it's also a dead card. No one should have a 4 at this point.
Unless you got pocket 4. So
Yeah, but then you're winning from the beginning.
Yeah,
then you've been winning the entire time. But yeah, you shouldn't have a 4 here. So that you shouldn't have made trips on the river now.
Okay.
And Lambert's 50,000 and Sean folds. So I'm assuming it was a missed flush draw, something of that nature.
And Lum takes
takes
the pot.
down.
So massive for him, and
Yeah.
really picking up his chip counts.
Yeah.
So by the way, you can also check all these hands up on the Shuffle Up Poker blog. So if you are wondering what we're looking up at the moment on our screens, you can go check up the blog. Let's check out another hand that happened a bit earlier today. Blaine Hamilton from Durban, talking about making quads, and this is something that's. The times that I've played, I've seen it only a handful of times. It does come up, obviously, but it is still quite special to see.
It is quite a rare hand. I mean, there's only the straight flush and the royal flush are rarer. There's nothing else that beats quads, obviously.
Yeah.
So, and it's just a really nice feeling to make quads. Like, you feel really good about your life.
And Blaine Hamilton, going back to some of his history, which you can also find up on the website, some of his previous encounters with tournaments. If we could just pop back onto the website there so we can have a look at some of his history from previous tournaments. If we can ask our producer Carl just to switch over back to the website there quickly so we can have a look. There we go. So Blaine Hamilton, like I said, you can find up on the website. 2019, by the way, earlier this year in the ladies and gentlemen competition, came in 8th place, 10,000 rand. Not a massive...
No, but it's always nice to run deep, and 8th place means final table,
which is
and
always
making
exciting.
Final table it's great.
It's making final table.
Yeah,
it's nothing to walk away from ashamed.
Yeah.
And second place also in last year's Satellite Championship, walking away with 11,000 rand. Let's talk about the hand that happened today with Blaine Hamilton. Making those quads. The action folds around to Nolan Jafta, who won the main event, by the way, through a satellites and high roller through satellites as well. Let's talk about what happened on level 20.
Yeah, so Blaine, I believe it is, ships goes all in for 200,000. At this stage, the blinds are 15,000, 30,000.
Okay, so quite big.
The blinds are very big, so he's shoving quite a short stack at this point. And oh no, it's not Blaine that shoved, it's Nolan Jafta that shoved the button. Sorry, my apologies. Nolan Jafta shoves the button for 200,000, again, short stacked. And Blaine calls him out the big blind, who then tables pocket 10s. Nolan shows his pocket 6s, and the flop comes down.
At that heart, Nolan's going. Because
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you got pocket 6s, and you think, okay, well, I've got to make a player.
Yeah.
I've got not a big stack by no means at all.
No.
And I've got pocket 6s. Yeah, I've got to take advantage.
Yeah, the money has to go in there. It's very standard.
Blaine comes back with pocket 10s.
Yeah, and I mean, in that spot, you're usually hoping worst case scenario that you're probably going to be in a race. So what that means is that your opponent will have 2 overcards, and in that spot, the odds of winning are about 50-50. So we call it a race, a flip. There's quite a few other terms, but yeah. So that's what you're hoping for when you have the 6s, but when you see the 10s, your heart sinks, and you're like, oh, no.
How am I going to go up against this? Yeah.
Yeah. So the flop then comes on 10-6 king, which is actually a really crazy flop. Like, I wish these players had more chips so that they could have just raised and called and then played a flop, because they both flop a set, which is so uncommon. It almost never happens. Set over set is just one of the worst coolers that you get in poker.
Sure.
So it would have been really interesting to see how these guys went about playing the hand if they weren't all in pre-flop and they had more chips. The turn then came a queen and the river 10, giving Blaine his quads. And for Nolan, unfortunately, knocking him out.
But quite exciting. I mean, like you say, when it comes to a hand like this, you do want guys to have more chips, because then it becomes interesting, because then you're actually having that play out of guys, working on the table, working each other, and also consequently having the pot grow.
Yes.
Which is obviously what we want.
My favorite thing about set over set is that both players think that they're trying to extract value from the other player, but
Yes.
only one is actually. And the person coming up second best always, it's devastating.
So we're just getting a couple of updates coming now in as we're going along with Michael Klacher knocking 2 players out. And if you did catch us a little bit earlier in the broadcast, we did say that Michael was sitting as the chip leader not too long ago. We can actually give you an update if it has come through. Not yet, but Michael Klacher was sitting on 5,350,000, and he was a chip leader. He's just knocked out 2 players, which is making things interesting. We're now then obviously down to 13 players left, and remember all these places at this stage are paying out. And just confirming here, we are on level 20 at this stage with blinds 20, 40,000. No,
I think that is
that
from
with
earlier as
with
well.
Johnny Montaldis?
I think Michael knocking out 2 players is an earlier post, because our blinds are currently 60,000, 120,000, as we mentioned at the beginning. So yeah, this is just an earlier post, but we don't seem to have any information about what happened in the hand.
All right, but let's anyway, we'll talk about what happened with Johnny Montaldis. Let's talk about there. He was under the gun and shipped for 340,000. Let's talk about this. I think this is actually where Michael Klacher is this where he knocked him out. Okay, let's talk about this with him knocking the players out. So Michael Klacher flats from under the gun. Let's talk about that. Under the gun +1.
Yes, that's the person directly to the left of under the gun.
Right.
So that's the second person to act
Gotcha.
pre-flop. That's just what that means. So he flats, meaning that he just calls the 340,000 that the under the gun player went all in for. So that's quite a big pot building at this point. Then a Brad Kimmel, who I don't know, but yeah, goes all in for 400,000 in UTG +2, which is the very next position under the gun +2.
So the guys, in this stage are just going, okay, well, let's play.
Yeah, blinds are catching up to people, and people need to be making moves.
Under pressure, yeah.
Yeah. So Michael would obviously call that. It's another 60,000 into a pot of, at this point, almost 1 million. So it's a no-brainer. It doesn't matter what he has at this point.
Just going with it, yeah.
Going. Johnny shows pocket 7s. Michael turns over ace queen off, and Brad has king queen. So 7s aren't actually in the worst spot in this.
Well, they're already leading this hand without pre-flop. Johnny's already leading this with pocket 7s with ace queen high on that one, and Brad having king queen. He's already leading.
One of the great things for pocket 7s in this spot is that there are 2 queens already gone.
Yeah.
With the king queen and the ace queen. So there's only 2 queens left in the deck that he has to worry about.
Your outs there are significantly less.
Obviously, he still has to dodge the 3 aces and the 3 kings. And he did not manage to do so.
No, he didn't. By no means. The board runs out ace 2 queen.
Yeah, so Klacher makes top 2 and basically has a lock on the hand at this point. It's only a 7 that he has to dodge now. The turn is a 3, irrelevant, and the river is the second queen that shouldn't have been there, but is there. And Klacher makes a full house, and that's the end of that.
We talk about these moments where your heart just sinks as something happens, and that's literally a moment for Johnny, who has got these pocket 7s. It's just like, okay, cool. Well, I might still have a chance. Brad has king queen, but Michael turns over the ace queen, and these ace 2 queen pops out. You got 2 pair. You're just like, well, I mean, what are the odds?
Yeah, no, it's not great for pocket 7s.
And then it goes on. I mean,
just overkill on the river there with another queen, just to be like, you were never winning this hand. Don't worry about it.
Oh,
go home now, Johnny.
Right. So just before we go on to the next hand, who was Jamie Villela, we will talk about the fact that the guys are back from break actually. So if you have a look, they are back. We can actually show you what's happening on the floor at the moment. We have got a camera down there. You can see what it looks like if you were joining us here at the Theatre Marcellus at Empress Palace. Of course, it is WPT King of the Stacks 2019, brought to you by Shuffle Up Poker and Empress Palace. It's super exciting. We want you to come on down and come say how's it. There are still satellites, which we will get back to and let you know. We are down to 14 players, by the way. Jared, is it Jared Corey? Jared Curry? Oh well, Jared. Sorry if I butchered your surname, but he has bust as well. So well done. He has come in 14th place, and we'll get to that payout in just a moment. Let's talk about Jamie Villela doubling up with queens, which happened at level 16.
Yes. So Lagan Zaki in UTG. This seems to be a popular position to
I'm
be
just going to tell you a story about Lagan. I actually went to school with him. He was a couple of years below me, and he's doing quite well. He's definitely built up a name within the poker industry, within the poker community, and he seems to be doing quite well.
Yeah, we all know Lagan. Lagan's he's a very solid player. He's very tricky to play against. He also
Why?
Well, he can do some crazy things, but he can also do some not so crazy things, and you just don't know when those things are happening. which is the
He's
problem.
difficult to read in the sense that he changes up his game
Yeah.
quite a bit.
Yeah.
And we'll try to get some of his information up in just a moment. But let's talk about what happened a little bit earlier today. I think it was level 20. We're going to get his information up for you in just a little bit. But it's difficult when you play against guys like that because
Yeah.
you're not sure what he's doing on the day.
Yeah.
So he's under the gun, raises to 30,000.
Yeah,
Jamie?
so at this point, blinds are 6,000, 12,000. He raises to 30,000. As I said, not to 36,000. So we're seeing the pattern repeat itself of the smaller raises pre-flop. Jamie Valera in cutoff goes all in for 62,000. So now without looking further at what the hand was, Lagan can't fold at this point. There's no hand, even if he was just messing around for some reason with
easy money that he should be going for.
He just has to make the call because of the antes, because of the blinds, and because it's basically a min raise. So the call is going to get made regardless of what his hand is. And let's find out what it was. So Lagan had pocket nines.
And Jamie came out with pocket queens.
Pocket queens.
He had to go all in. There's not.
Yeah.
I mean, besides the fact that he was sitting quite low on a stack count.
It is the third best pre-flop hand in poker.
Well, there we go. So there's
That's
some
it.
information for you if you are starting out.
Yeah.
It comes out with pocket queens.
And yeah, run out ace 2-8 and then turn 8 river king. So Lagan doesn't improve. Obviously, he's looking for a 9 to make his set against the queens, but no improvement for Lagan. And well done to Jamie for doubling up with a solid hand.
Brilliant. Thanks for the comment, Greg, coming through. This is great. Awesome insight from the super knowledgeable Fabian Deppe. Well, that's why Fabian's here sitting next to me with all the knowledge. And we do want to hear
Thanks,
from
Greg.
you. If you have got comments, drop it in the comment section. If you've got questions for us, please send it through as well. Fabian is extraordinarily knowledgeable. I'm just building him up here. That he has to answer all the questions that you have on the live stream as well. Right, just by the way, Lagan, just to give you a bit of history on some of the tournaments that he has played. I mean, back in 2018, had a giant stack 6th place, coming in with 67,000, which is not bad at all. And then, of course, that 4th place with 225,910 back in 2015 in the 1.5 million rand WPT, which is great. I mean,
It is.
And he's still a young player.
And Lagan did also take quite a lot of time off. I believe he was starting a family. He had a child, I think maybe even 2 at this point.
Okay.
I don't want to say anything out of place, but I know he did.
So he needs that money.
He did take quite a long time off because Lagan was a very, very, very active player several years ago. You'd see him at all the events, playing all the tournaments, and then, he grew up a bit and had some responsibilities to take care of, and he did, and it's good to see him back.
And going up, well, there we go. You see, this is why we love our producers. Lagan's actually having twins at the moment, so congratulations, Lagan.
Congrats.
You definitely need to start winning some more cash. Let's talk about Jamie's history. Let's just go back to that screen in a moment, which, by the way, is up on the Shuffle Up Poker website. Jamie's history, I mean, we'll give you some of the top achievements. 120,000 rand back in that 2018 high roller where he came 9th, and another 8th position in the WPT October 2012 Classic event, which is great as well. 2015, we can also see that high roller event where he won 91,000, and this was great. The Inter Pro in 2019 with that freeze out, winning 350,000.
Yes.
These are big amounts.
Yes.
So yeah, he's doing
Jamie's
really well.
also he's been playing poker in South Africa since there's been poker in South Africa, basically. And yeah, he loves the game. He actually adores this game. It's really amazing to see how much he loves playing and how excited he gets about playing. And unfortunately, he's not going to be able to
Join us
for the main event because I think the one thing he might love more is cars.
Yeah.
And,
We know this.
and he has a car show of something.
No, yeah. So I think he's joining the Kyle Army 9 Hour, which is happening, of course, next weekend, and it's going to be quite exciting for him to say the least. Let's quickly talk about the Interpro that he took part in, which is the new tournament from Shuffle Up Poker, where the teams play. I know it's something obviously very new.
It is.
Let's talk about
they had the first one this year. So it's Interpro stands for Interprovincial. So there were 7 teams, I believe it was, from the various provinces, and from various cities, and they had 2 freeze-out tournaments to play: a 25,000 rand and a 40,000 rand per player. There were I think on average 9 players a team, and you play for yourself. You play for the money, and when you cash, you get a certain amount of points, and that's how they decide which team will win overall. I think Cape Town did dominate everyone.
Why? Because I heard the guys talking about this a little bit earlier, that Cape Town is doing extremely well.
Yeah, there's just some really solid players from Cape Town. I mean, you have the likes of Ahmed and Moaz and Eugene. Is Eugene from Eugene Duplessis as well, who I mentioned yesterday, and Noel Jafta, who
If you are wondering, we've got our producers in the
I
back
didn't mean
giving
to
us all
forget you,
information.
Noel. I love you, Noel. Noel is awesome. I do have mad love for her. And yeah, so like they do just have a really strong team. And they showed it by just crashing.
Absolutely dominating.
Yeah.
And just giving you a bit of an update quickly from the floor before we come back to talk about the interprovincial. Devon doubling up with King of Hearts, Jack of Hearts, and going up against Pocket Eights.
Yeah.
The flops coming through. Ace 3-2, and turn with the King of Diamonds, and the river dropping a King of Spades, and a massive pot, 2.9 million chips. So well done, for Devon there.
And that is bad news for the rest of the players, because
Why?
a player that you don't want having chips is Devon. If you can make sure that Devon has as few chips as possible, it is in your best interest, because he is a beast.
Okay,
Like, he will use those chips better than most will.
Okay, well, there we go. So well done.
It's
Devon
quite frightening.
Devon having a massive, you can hear those clapping of hands at the moment down at the bottom. So we'll give you those updates as we go on. Let's get back to the screen. What happened a little bit earlier today, also with Lam building his. I think we've already gone. So I think we got to go further a little bit down. We've already discussed that one. There's a couple of other events that happened today. We're going to get to those in a moment, but there are still satellites happening throughout the week leading up to the main event, and you can come and join us. Of course, this is quite exciting. If you want to see some of those satellites and give you an idea of how you can win a seat inside the main event, let's catch up with a lady by the name of Chantal. We caught up with her. She did win one of these satellites, and we're going to get our producer Carl just to roll that video for you. And check this out. This could be you. Come and join us on one of these satellites.
Yeah.
So we're sitting here with Chantal Polton, the winner of the semi-free satellite. She beat out 91 other players. How are you feeling, Maria?
I'm feeling great. I'm glad I won the seat. I think WPT is great, and this is one of my favourite tournaments that I won that came in. I really, really enjoy it.
That's fantastic that you actually beat out 91 other players. That's a feat on its own.
Well, the satellites are normally quite large. You've got large fields that come through to play in the satellites. So you've got to just be patient and hope to get there.
And if you look back on the satellite itself, were there any pivotal moments that you said to yourself, this is the hand that is going to change it all for me. I know I'm going to win it from here if I win this race, or if I get anything good.
Well, when I sat down on the table, I think I was the lowest stack. So it's time to be patient, but shove when you need to. And I got pocket queens. I thought, now's my time. This is where I'm going to triple up.
And the rest was history.
And the rest was history.
And then you also won Best Dressed across the Halloween evening they had.
It was such a fun event. And when they invited us to come and do Halloween and get dressed up, I thought, well, Queen of Hearts, I've got to come for Queen of Hearts. So I got dressed up and won a seat for that as well. So it was a lot of fun.
You are running good.
Well, at the moment, I think not too bad. I've been getting onto final table quite often, bubbling quite often. So hopefully I can turn on the semi-freeze.
And in regards to the semi-freeze, do you have any expectations for tonight? We've got a strategy going in to the first couple of hours for tonight's play?
You know what? I don't really have a strategy. I play it as it comes. Because you can strategize and then the cards you were hoping for, you just don't hit. Or your strategy falls apart. So I just try and take it flow as possible.
And in regards to table draws, are you a bit wary of having certain players sitting on the same table as you, or you just look at it as another opponent?
No, it's just another opponent. I'm not afraid of them. Okay, so, and I enjoy playing opponents. I actually just really enjoy poker, so I don't mind who's at the table. I don't mind being button or the big blind or the position. So I just go to play.
Well, I wish you all the best. Hopefully I'll be on the same table as you, or same table as you on day 2. So I'm also taking part in it. I am.
Oh, that's great.
Best of luck.
And you know the best tip. Be patient.
Oh, yes.
Please be patient. And that fall button.
I remember. Thank you so much for sitting down with us.
Thank you
We do
very much.
appreciate it, and all the best.
So we are going to come back and talk about some of those satellites that you can come and join throughout the course of the next week or so, leading up to the main event, which is next weekend. We will remind you. Should we actually go through it?
Yeah, well, just a quick note. So there have been some days that have been cancelled. So tomorrow has been cancelled.
Yes.
In regards to the satellites in the Gladiator poker room. That's just because, well, we have so many events going here. So
Yep.
And then the satellites in the Gladiator room on the 20th and the 21st have also been cancelled because we have official satellites here in the Marcellus Theatre. We have the charity super satellite
And that's
trophy,
happening on Wednesday, so come and join us for that.
and we have the loyalty free roll satellite on the 21st.
If you want to see all of these, go check it up on the Shuffle Up Poker website. All the details are up on there as well. Right, let's get back to talking about some of the things that happened a little bit earlier today. 2:45 this afternoon, Nolan Jofta reduces the field. Blinds are sitting at 3,000, 6,000.
Yeah.
The big blind ante of 6,000. Now, obviously there are some players that we're not going to mention names, so we'll just call them player X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. We'll go through them as we go
Yeah.
along. Player X opens to 16,000, and then from mid position,
Yeah.
Nolan Jofta in cutoff 3 bets to 40,000, immediately taking it up.
Yeah. So what happens here is mid position is pretty self-explanatory. You're in the middle of the table position.
Across from the dealer. How's it going? no, I don't mean that. That was a
In
joke.
relation to the button, you're in mid
yeah.
position, and then Nolan then 3 bets. This means that he raises again. We call it a re-raise as well sometimes. And he 3 bets to 40,000. So now this is quite a substantial bet. I prefer sizing a bit bigger sometimes when I'm 3 betting, especially in position, because I like to play big pots in position.
Yeah.
That's basically what that's for. And now this is where it actually this is the 4 bet hand.
So player
X
X 4 bets and shoves for 110,000.
Yeah. So player X goes all in.
So for the terminologies, let's just comment on that. Shoving, you going
Shoving
all in.
is all in. Yeah. So a 4 bet is a re-raise basically.
This is all pre-flop.
Yeah, this is before any cards have been seen. So, and he goes all in, and Nolan calls him, and they table queens for Nolan and tens for player X, and Nolan just holds up and knocks out player X.
So another terminology, the board runs dry, which obviously none of the guys are hitting.
Yeah, no one makes anything. Now it's quite interesting, this 4 bet shove with
Why?
pocket tens, because you're just never going to get called by anything worse. That's the bottom line. Pocket nines is not going to call you, so you're just basically never beating anything. And the hands that you're racing with are ace king in essence, because there's not much else that even ace jack, if for some reason ace jack is involved here, or king queen suited or any of those type of hands, you're not really in the best type of shape, because those aren't really the type of hands you want to see it with pocket tens.
Do you think this is an error that he was making, a massive error call?
So I don't want to say that what anyone ever does is wrong, because poker is, you can play it however you want. They're your chips, you buy in. I'm just saying, I'm just giving my opinion on how I think I would have played the hand.
Yep.
And I understand, blinds with 3,000, 6,000. Player X was playing just about 20 big blinds. I understand it can be quite frustrating in those spots when you have a nice hand, because pocket tens is a great holding. It's
definitely not a bad thing.
Yeah, it's a good hand to see. You like seeing pocket tens, and you're thinking, I've got 20 big blinds. I am quite short. I'm trying to make money. I'm trying to make chips here so that I can get so I can be in a better position.
You got to take the risk. There is an element of risk involved.
There is an element of risk involved, but I think in this situation, so I don't think you can call, because it's too much of your stack to call the 40,000 with what he had. But I just don't think that shoving is. I prefer shoving to just flat calling.
Yeah.
But I think you can fold here. But maybe he knew something about Nolan that I don't know. Maybe Nolan's been quite active, and maybe he thought that he could get away with it. But Yeah, it's just you're never gonna like what you see when the cards are turned over. If you
No,
get called.
by no stretch of the imagination either.
Yeah.
And I think that's let's move on then quickly. So obviously Nolan then with that Nolan drops reducing the field quite substantially, getting up to 200. Or I mean, winning a pot worth close to 250,000 chips, which is obviously quite
At that
massive.
stage was
Which
huge.
was
It
massive,
huge.
yeah,
It was-
absolutely.
it was
You're
40
sitting on
big
3,000,
blinds.
6,000 blinds,
Yeah,
so
so
definitely
it's-
massive to say the
really
least.
good.
Another hand that happened a little bit earlier today, just after that, in fact, just after 3 o'clock with Lauren Pierre playing some short stack poker, in fact, level
Yeah.
14 blind sitting at 4,000, 8,000 with the big blind ante of 8,000. The action folds to Lauren. By the way, this is all up on the Shuffle Up Poker website through the blog, who goes all in for the second hand in a row.
Yeah, we don't know what you did the first time.
We don't know.
But
This time for 82,000 from HJ. And Russell Wheatley
Yeah.
calls from CO. CO being?
cut off, HJ being hijacked.
Right, there we go. Thank you very much. And the rest of the players get out of the way. Everybody just leaves them to do their business. And either somebody's walking away with a nice pot or somebody's...
Yeah, so I think Lauren doubled up this hand.
Yep.
So her ace high held. Now here again, I'm not sure how many chips Russell. Was it Russell?
Russell
Yeah.
Wheatley calls from cutoff and shows a king 10.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many chips he had in his stack to make this call. It's quite. It's right there on the border. King 10 suited to call on all in.
And Lauren, I mean, going all in for second time in a row with an ace 4.
Yeah.
It's brave.
So she has 10 big blinds. So
Yeah.
she's quite short stacked. So she's just reverting back to the old. If you have an ace, put it in. If you've got 10 big blinds and an ace, money goes in basically. Especially if it's been folded around to you. The call with king high is. Again, you're almost never gonna be winning when the cards are turned over. I mean, King 10 is a really pretty hand to look at. For a long time when I was playing poker, it was actually my favorite hand.
Okay.
Which is ridiculous because aces should be everyone's favorite hand.
Yeah,
in
but
case
more
anyone
often than not.
has a different favorite hand, you're wrong. It's aces. That's your favorite hand. And yeah, so king high is just almost never gonna be good there because even the other kings that are shoving there, king jack, king queen, they're beating you. Ace 4 doesn't have to hit to beat you.
No, sure.
And then your pretty little hand is finished.
Absolutely.
It has nothing
and,
left.
and I love this. I love this about Lauren. I mean, she's been doing really good things for
Yeah.
poker in South Africa. We could almost even call her a celebrity in South African poker scene at the moment because she's a huge advocate for female players in the poker industry. And I mean, looking at some of the tournaments she's played in the Startcorp Wins series of poker, which happened in June 2018 at that main event, she came second with cashing in at 205,000 rand, which is good. I mean, great to say the least. And keep it up, Lauren. We see you with your ace 4s and doubling up in that short stack poker, and that's how she goes on to win it. You catch you off guard and go on to do great hands like that. Let's talk about JC Nokia happening a little bit later this afternoon. Blind sitting at 3,000, 6,000. Big blind ante.
Also 6,000.
Yeah, also 6,000. David Rossell opens up under the go. Rosenthal, thank you very much.
Also known as Bozo, also one of the top players in this country. He has many cashes to his name. He is incredibly difficult to play against. And yeah. Bozo,
Style of play.
Style of play. Oh, I don't want to say anything else here. So
David, we ask you to take this with a pinch of salt when you come back and watch this.
So Bozo's quite aggressive, but it is quite selective aggression. So he knows when to pump the brakes. He knows when to hit the accelerator, and yeah, he's also just super difficult to play against because the ranges are so difficult to put him on, and he's got so much experience. I mean, he might be one of the most experienced big tournament players in the field, along with some of the guys I mentioned yesterday. And yeah, he's just one of the top players in the country. And yeah.
Let's talk about this hand that happened between David and JC. I'll let you take it from here. JC calls.
What does JC call? David Rosenthal opens from UTG to 17,000 with the chip lead on the table. JC calls from MP and big blind defends. The flop was 5 Queen 10 with 2 spades.
Yep.
David checks and JC shoves for 86,000 and everyone falls out. So well done, JC. I mean, we don't know what he had, but we can obviously try and make some estimations about the
Going
type
for the
of
flush?
hands. Flush draws are definitely there. There's up and down draws that are here as well. There's combo draws that are here. He could have something like ace 10 of spades where he has middle pair with the flush draw. He could also just have a queen that he's trying to protect against the flush draw.
Right.
So these are all the possibilities. These are all
And I mean,
possibilities that
looking
could
at
exist there.
some of David's previous history when it comes to the tournaments that he's played in, and like you said, by no stretch of the imagination, is he a great player? Looking at 2019, that WPT March 2019 event where he came 40th is probably one of these weakest cashes out of 20,500. But then you go to the other side where he played in the high roller event and he cashed at second place with 750,000, £750,000, which is huge. So well done to David. I mean, and this was quite an interesting hand. I mean, he, like you say, he's coming with experience. Maybe he sees something that we didn't, and he was like, I'd rather fold.
No, I mean, if Bozo folded, it was probably a right fold. Like, I'll just put it that way.
Yeah. Jamie was back in the news again. Jamie Villela doubling up with the Queens. We already mentioned that a little bit earlier. You can catch the full hand breakdown of that up on the Shuffle Up Poker site. Let's talk about Shamil Singh, who built his stack a little bit earlier as well on level 17, where the blinds are sitting at 8,000, 16,000, and a big blind ante of 16,000. Before we do that, we're just going to quickly give you an update on what's happening on the floor at the moment. Michael, is it Michael? Michael opening up from hijack to 280. Let's talk about this.
So let's see what happens here. Michael Klacher, who was our chip leader when we got back from the break, opened to 280,000. The cutoff shipped for 500. So again, this is not even a minimum raise. So it's basically there's basically no way that Klacher's folding.
Yeah,
like
he's going
even
with
if he was like just messing around, he's maybe he might fold at this stage because of the chips stack sizes. If he is.
But if he has if he has that, if he has the ability to do it, he wants to see what's going on with their hands. He wants to see how guys are playing now. And some guys are maybe getting desperate to get back into the game with a nice chip stack. And he's going to be like, well, you know what? If you're going to give it to me, let's take it.
Yeah. So Michael does call and shows pocket sixes. And the all-in player shows ace-7. There, and Klacher just holds up. No drama.
14th. Well,
must be nice.
Traveling Ramsami coming through, and there's another player out in 13th place, Dylan Mayer. We'll confirm that with you. We'll just confirm with regards to Dylan actually coming out there. But at this stage, there are 12 players left. Which is great. We're getting closer and closer
to the final table.
Somebody winning this trophy and of course that final table. 54 players, by the way, in that ladies and gents event, which is the trophy over here. So well done. Thank you very much for everybody coming out. It is one of those new events that Shuffle Up Poker are bringing. We said yesterday.
Yeah,
it was something exciting.
We try things and they're obviously working.
Yeah, no, look. And if you just want a bit more information on that event, it was for the ladies 18 and over, for the gents 36 and over, and they come through and join us. And 54 players came through for that event. So thank you very much for coming through. Let's carry on talking about the hands. Shamil Singh.
We were at Shamil Singh. Yeah.
Yes.
So action starts with Regan opening up from UTG +1. We've gone through this. That's the second opening position to 37,000. Leaving about 250,000 behind in his stack.
Right.
So it's nice that we have the stack size there. Shamil Singh calls from the small blind with the stack of about 400,000 behind, and big blind folds. The flop is Queen of Diamonds, 5 of Hearts, 7 of Clubs. Shamil leads with a bet of 30k. Regan raises to 80k. That's very interesting.
Why?
And Shamil ships all in, and Regan folds and shows a set of. Shamil shows a set of 7s.
Why is it? Why do you say it's interesting that he raised up to 80k there?
Because it's so. Okay, so I just need to go through here again. So Shamil Singh calls, flop comes, Shamil leads with 30, and Regan raises. Okay, so Regan is the initial raiser pre-flop. Shamil calls obviously out of the blinds, and then does what we call it's called a donk bet.
A donk bet.
A donk bet. So Shamil donk bets out, which means that he leads out into the pot before the initial raiser has had a chance to act, right? And then Regan raises him up to 80,000, and it's just interesting to see what Regan would have been thinking Shamil has in this position.
Right.
Is it just a pure bluff? Does he just have ace king and he wants to win the hand? Did he fold a big hand to him like ace queen or king queen or maybe pocket kings? I doubt it very much. I doubt aces very much as well. And then Shamil just slams it in with his middle set, which is also I mean, the hand plays out in a very different way to how I would have played it.
Okay.
Like, I can give you
And that's
that
what
much.
obviously makes the game quite interesting. as
So
well, how it pans out.
my if I had called the sevens out the small blind, I would have definitely checked and let the initial raiser just keep building the pot for me, because I've obviously got a super strong holding. And if I'm not mistaken, yeah, there's basically no draws out there. I mean,
Nope, nothing.
6/8 is up and down, but you don't expect the guy from under the gun to have 6/8, so you're not really worried about much. So yeah, it's just interesting to me how the hand plays out, and I would really like to know what Regan had. Like, I really,
well-
I might need to get him in here
Yeah,
and have a little
we'll
interview
speak
with
to him offline.
yeah,
and
and
we'll
see
get to it.
and see what he was raising him with there, because yeah, it just might have just been 2 overcards, ace king,
Yeah.
trying to take down the hand.
At that stage, I mean, we were sitting with Dylan Mayo, who was the chip leader at that stage, sitting at, from what we could see, was 967,000. We then moved on to the day a little bit further on to the day with Blaine Hamilton going all in at level 18. Now, Blaine Hamilton limped into middle position. Yeah, let's talk about that.
Okay, so limping, everyone, stop.
Okay, well, there we go.
Don't
You've heard it now from Fabian Depper.
don't do it.
Stop limping.
Limping is bad, guys. Like, it is. There's no advantage to it. Just fold or raise pre-flop, or call or raise pre-flop.
For our new
but-
players, limping, explain it.
So limping means that you put in the amount that the big blind is. So you don't raise the action up. You're not calling a raise. You're just putting in the bare minimum to see the flop. And at this stage of the game, it is so dangerous, because if you have a huge hand and you're trying to limp and then hope someone raises so that you can go all in, if it doesn't happen, then that means that the blinds are going to be in this hand and they can have literally any 2 cards. So you could have aces, but if the flop comes 7-3-5, they can just have 7-3 because they're in the blinds.
Yeah,
They didn't have to
absolutely.
pay.
There
They
we
can
go.
just have it, and you'll do your entire stack, right? And if you have a marginal hand and you're limping in that you're trying to see, ooh, I've got Jack 10 suited here. Let me see if I can, or I've got 9-8 suited. Maybe I can find something on the flop. Most of the time, you're not going to find anything, and you're just burning chips.
You're just wasting.
And that's all it is.
Okay, so there we go. You heard it from Fabian.
Don't
Stop
limp.
limping. All right. So anyway, he does it. So
Yes, he does.
after that whole rant there, which we will maybe cut at the end of the series and come back to Fabian ranting about limping. Let's talk about what Dean Carroll does.
Yeah, so Dean Carroll on the button also seems to limp in, which is
We should
Which is
we
great
should maybe
stuff.
name this section on the blog all about limping.
all about limping, guys.
All right, so Dean Carroll limps in on the button.
And then the flop is Queen 8, and Blaine moves all in, and the other 2 fold. So
Blaine
I'm,
takes the
so,
pots.
so I'm thinking that Blaine did limp with a big hand,
Yeah.
and he saw that flop and got a bit scared and went all in and was hoping for the best, which is
And-
all you can do when you limp, because you have
and-
no clue.
And it worked out for him.
Yeah, 'cause
Luckily,
I mean,
this
the
time.
big blind could have just had Queen 8 offsuit, just had it, just
Unbelievable.
because. Even Queen 3, and your aces would just be finished.
Let's quickly cross to what's happening live on the floor at the moment. Let's actually quickly show a shot of what's happening on the floor at the moment while we're busy discussing this with Jubal shipping under the gun for, what was it,
Wow.
1.5, sorry, Jubal with 1.45 million.
Yeah.
Devin going all in under the gun +1 and everybody falls.
Yeah.
Getting exciting down there.
Jabal ships so easy. And they showed hands, actually. So Jabal shows ace-4 off, and Devin has pocket 8s, and the flop came 8 Jack King, which is obviously great for pocket 8s
Yeah,
because they
definitely.
flopped the set. The turn came a Jack, turning his set into a full house, and that is Jabal drawing dead. The river was completely irrelevant at this point. There was nothing that could help Jabal.
And sitting at this
win this
stage,
hand.
Devin has over 5 million chips with 10 players left, so that's
Yeah.
it's quite massive. And Michael Klacher now sitting, I'm
about
guessing, in second place with
4.8,
4.8 million. So it's getting really hectic. With 10 players left, we should be moving on to the final table then shortly. I'm assuming.
Yeah,
Final player being 10
final table 8 is final table 10 or 9?
Uh,
9 for the
9,
final table.
right,
So,
so
we have one more player
We're very
to
close.
get rid
And by
of.
the way, cashing out now with regards to 10th to 12th place, sitting on cashing outs at 32,000 rand. So we're getting super close to that final table where the cashing out will start being at about 37,000. Just remember, as you can see on the screen, first place sitting at 360,000,
Yep.
which is massive. And out of 183 players that did start that event a bit earlier yesterday, it's getting super
So like
exciting.
all of these guys should be really proud of themselves, because
Absolutely.
tournaments are such a grind. Tournaments are, I mean, so many things have to go right for you to get to this point in a tournament,
Yeah.
including how you play. So all the guys should be super proud of themselves.
For the guys that
getting
are,
this far.
starting out, there is still a
Yeah.
massive luck factor.
Yes. So at the end of the day, this is a game of chance.
Yep.
But the way I always like to describe it is, it's the one game in the casino you don't play against the casino.
Yeah.
You play against other players.
There's that human element.
Yeah. You're not playing a game that's rigged for the house to win. You're playing a game, well, not rigged, but in the favor for the
Yeah.
house to win. You're playing a game against other players, and yeah, so you can build up skill in this game, and you can put work into this game to give yourself the best chance of going far in these events consistently. And you see it. You see the players that do it here. They're consistently making final tables. They're consistently cashing, consistently winning, and that's because they've put in the work, and that's because they're making the best decisions at the time.
And that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
We will get you, as soon as it goes through to the final table, the list of the guys on the final table. But at this stage, Divan LaRue, chip leader. Lagan Zaki is on about 2.8 million. Jesse Rousson is, I'm saying correctly, hopefully, Rossum.
Yeah.
There we go. We just found out is out, knocked out in 10th place with 32,000 rand. So we are now getting closer to that final table.
Well, we
which
should be on the final table now, correct?
Yeah, the guys are starting to move through to the final table
Yeah.
at the moment. You can see it's happening down there in the background, just behind the trophies. We'll see if we can get you some of those shots a little bit later, which is quite exciting to say the least. We're getting closer and closer to the final table, and as Fabian said, it's massive.
It's exciting, and it's really awesome for the guys that are on the final table. Like, I know how nice it is to make a final table at one of these events. Only ever made one, but anyway, it's a bit of a sore point for me.
There's that shot for you. That's what it's looking like at the moment with all the guys down there at the bottom, and it's super exciting. If you want to come check out, it is at the Theatre of Marcellus at Empress Palace, one of the main sponsors for WPT and Shuffle Up Poker. King of the Stacks 2019. Let's talk about a hand that happened a little bit earlier with David doubling up with Pocket Kings. It happened on level 20. It's a little bit further up, where the blinds were on 15,000, 30,000, which was now getting a little bit heated, a little bit exciting to say the least.
Yes,
I think
I've
you
got
got
it
it there. Yeah. So
Um,
David under the gun.
pushes all in for 296,000 blinds, 15,000, 30,000, so just under 10 big blinds. So that's basically you're hovering around desperation stack at this point.
You're basically on your way out.
Yeah,
You've got to do some
you're-
drastic.
the hands that you are willing to go all in with when you have 10 big blinds in a tournament like this is quite a wide range of hands. You're looking at suited aces, you're looking at suited kings even at this point. From UTG, you still want it to be a little bit stronger because there's so many players left to act behind you. But yeah, let's see what he ended up going all in with.
So you called big stack by Blaine Hamilton in the hijack position.
Yeah, and David had pocket kings. I mean, yeah.
Oh, there we go. Thanks for
Pocket
coming.
Kings can go in with basically any stack.
Yeah.
Whether it's 10 big blinds or 100, you can basically put it in
I'll take it.
every time. Blaine shows ace 3 suited, which is, it's not the worst call. I mean,
But then comes the flop.
then comes the flop. Yes.
4-7 ace.
4-7 ace, and this is when you with the pocket kings just think to yourself,
How? Why?
why is there always an ace when I
Please,
have pocket kings?
Somebody
Why?
take the
Every
wheel.
time I have pocket kings, there's an ace. Why must this happen in my life? The
But
turn comes a five.
at this stage, David's going.
He's basically on his way out. He has
He's
two outs.
got 2 outs.
He's not doing well. I mean, just like a rough calculation would say he's got about 8% chance to win on the flop.
Which is not a lot
Which
at all.
is not great. When the turn comes down to 5, he's looking at about 4%.
And then comes the river.
And then comes the 4%er.
Thanks for coming. It's
The
a
king.
river king, yeah.
And
King of
ace
diamonds.
4 is sad.
That's incredible.
I
And
assume.
David wins it with the trip kings, doubles
Yeah.
up to over 500,000 chips.
It is nice to see the best hand hold up. That's what we want to see.
It's amazing, and this is what you gotta love about poker in these kind of moments. Is literally, with David's heart sitting here, Blaine's sitting up here, and literally with one turn of a card being the river,
Yep.
how literally everybody's hearts swap
Yep,
positions.
that's exactly it.
David doubling up and Blaine taking a huge knock, left with 740,000.
Yeah, no, it's tough when you get too outed, especially when you've come from behind and like get your miracle card.
Yeah, no.
It's not a great feeling.
Well, look, Blaine was back in the news a little bit later where he made quads. I think we did speak about
we
that a
did-
little bit
we
earlier. You can
discussed
go
that.
check out that. It is up on the blog or earlier in the stream if you do want to rewind after we go into after we're done with the live stream. Michael Klacher, of course, we spoke about this where he knocked 2 players out, which I
Yep.
mean is now sitting with him in second place. Let's talk about Michael actually for a little bit. I mean, some of his positions that he's had and some of his wins, I don't want to say wins, but cashing out in October 2018 with the WPT, their 10th position, 14,800 Rand.
Yeah.
Also in 2018, also in October, with that giant stack, 9th place, 41,000 rand where he cashed in, and in April 2016. So he's been playing for a while. He was actually at the first WPT back in 2012 where he came 12th with 103,000. So he's been around.
Yeah. I think I've been friends with him for that long, actually.
Okay, there we go.
So yeah, Michael, like as I said earlier, like he's a really good player. Like he is, he has this energy at the table that also like he's confident with every motion he does. Like everything he does at the table, it just drips in confidence. So it's quite scary because you think to yourself, no, but surely he's bluffing, but he's so happy. And why is he so confident? He must be bluffing. No,
and we were
no,
speaking about this yesterday. You know.
Yeah.
There are these signs that you can try and make a tell on, but there are also these guys that just completely throw you off without even trying.
Yeah.
Would you say Michael's one of those guys?
I'm not sure if he's not trying. I think he is trying.
It's
to
calculated.
Talk yeah. So he is an excellent talker at the table.
Yeah.
So he can talk people into and out of doing exactly what he wants, and I've seen it happen many times. And yeah, I enjoy playing against him because he keeps me on my toes, and I like playing against players that challenge me, that make me think, that make me
that makes the game exciting.
Focused, and where it's not just straightforward. Oh, he bet, he's got a hand.
Yeah.
No, it's like, oh wait, why is he betting? What could he be betting? And how did he bet? And when did he? And so on and so forth. And all these things go through your head as a player. And Klacha is one of those players that you have to have all those thoughts against.
We'll check where he is, but not so long ago he was sitting at second place in the chips. A bit earlier today he was sitting around first place. He was in fact in first place. Let's talk about this on the blog post a little bit earlier, where the Kings get cracked, and with Emmanuel Christen under the gun +2 shipping in with 470,000. Let's talk about that with Eugene Duplessis getting involved.
Yeah. So blinds at this stage are 20,000, 40,000. So again, 450, 11 big blinds, 11 and a bit. So again, pretty short, quite shallow. Not much play to be had except all in, basically. And so they ship from UTG +2, which is the third person to act, as I mentioned earlier, with ace-5 suited. As I mentioned again earlier, a suited ace with 10 big blinds, 11 big blinds is basically gold.
Absolutely.
You're quite happy, especially ace-5. Ace-5 is quite a nice holding to ship all in with that type of stack, because you have so many options with ace-5 suited. So you cover the small straights with that hand. You cover the flush, and you have the ace, which
is always powerful
because you have the ace. It's not impossible that someone doesn't have, that no one else has an ace, but there are less aces for someone else to have. So yes, and then Eugene wakes up on the button with pocket kings.
Yes,
because that's how life is
when
you've got ace-5 in your short stack.
Oh man.
But then the flop brings some hope with 8 of hearts, queen of diamonds, and 6 of diamonds. So this is where the
flush draws.
This is where the suitedness comes in, and we're happy. This is why we shove suited.
And at this stage, Eugene sitting with the pocket kings is still leading.
He is still ahead. And he's still a favorite. I mean, again, a rough calculation. If you want here, you're looking at about 60-40 in favor of the kings. The turn comes down
10 of clubs.
10 of clubs. So now kings are a big favorite at this point, with only one card left to come. Now you're looking at about an 80-20. So Eugene is about. These are not 100% accurate. These are just rough.
But I mean, you're out here. Obviously, you're looking for another ace. So you got 3 outs there, and then all your remaining diamonds.
Yeah.
So there are quite a few outs.
There are outs there. There's about 12 outs there.
All right. So come the river, and thanks for coming.
River's a diamond. It doesn't say what diamond. It's just a diamond.
Doesn't matter. It could be a 2 of diamonds. He takes the pots.
And that's the nuts then on the river for
man, it's incredible. Diamond flush on the river, doubling up Eugene left with a huge density stack. And Eugene Duplessis also, by his history, is somebody that's also no stranger to WPT and the poker industry.
Definitely. Like you see that 900,000 rand cash there in 2013 already.
So that main event coming second, which is huge.
And then he won the Omaha events in 2017. He won the Big Roller in 2017. The list it's a long list.
He's got one of the biggest lists, from
it's a long list, guys.
Shuffle Up Poker website. So go check out if you want to see how he's cashing. Also that Interprovincial Pro with the freeze out that happened a bit earlier this year,
Yeah.
where he actually won it
Okay.
with 700,000. So he's definitely not somebody that's a stranger to
Yeah.
to the poker fraternity that's going on here. Let's talk about this with Alton Chin,
Alton.
which happened a bit earlier as well with level 22.
Yeah.
Sitting on the blind of 30,000, 60,000. Let's talk about that hand.
Yeah, so action folds to Tim. No, I'm at the wrong hand. Sorry.
Gets call from Eugene Duplessis again.
Yeah. I was at that. So Alton Chin in the cuts off position goes all in for 185,000. Blinds are 30,000, 60,000. He has 3 big blinds.
So like on
can-
the final.
So for
spec.
me, if I have 3 big blinds, right, and it gets folded around to me in position, I'm basically shoving anything suited. At
You have
this
to- you have-
point.
you have
Like,
to.
At this
You
point, I'm
absolutely have
basically
to.
shoving anything suited and hoping for the best.
Yeah.
Obviously, if I can find a nice connector or a suited, like a suited high card, a king, a suited queen, king, or ace, that's ideal. But I'm basically just putting it in because
you have to go in. So
because, yeah.
Alton shoves, and then Eugene has to call it.
Yeah, Eugene calls out the button again.
Showing cards.
Where Alton has 9-10, Eugene has King Jack. So
9-10 suited
9-10
and
suited
King of
is-
clubs and Jack of clubs, Jack of diamonds.
yeah, the flop is 2-7-4. So Eugene is
Way ahead.
well in the lead.
well
In the lead. The turn is a 6.
Right.
So this gives Alton the gut shot draw, which means an 8 gives him the straight.
Yep.
He still has he has the 4 8s, and he has 3 9s and 3 10s. So he does have 10 outs. He's not by any means dead in the water. And as the Miracle River shows,
And
the
this
8
is-
did arrive.
And this is what makes poker so exciting is Alton was praying, his prayers were answered. If you want to go see one of the biggest smiles that you'll ever see, go to the Shuffle Up Poker website after this live stream, by the way, and go check out the smile. I mean, I can actually show you on the screen over here. I'll actually just show it to the camera there. If you can actually see, I'll come closer so you can see that smile that he's got on his face. It's actually quite funny to see the smile that he's got on his face, because that is what a river card will do for you.
That is what happens
in your
when you hit a
favor.
running gut shot to stay alive in the tournament. Yes.
And then let's quickly go to the last hand that we'll discuss before we give you the final table and who's sitting where. Let's talk about this with Divan doubling up as well. We're on level 23, blind sitting at 40-80k.
Yeah, 40-80. So Dale Naidu, UTG. People are just raising UTG.
That's crazy.
A lot today. Raises to 200k. Divan LaRue in the small blind. I assume it's been folded around to him at this point. Pushes all in for 455k. With Ace King. Dale calls with Queen Jack off.
Yep.
Now, Dale, I can't say, I won't say shouldn't, but Queen Jack under the gun is not a great hand.
Why?
So, how do I explain this best? So first of all, it's Queen High, right? It's Queen Jack off, so they're not suited, so there aren't any flush options for you here. So you're basically just raising Queen High first to act. That means that there's usually 8 other players behind you. And like King 3 is beating you when you've got Queen Jack pre-flop.
And it's a massive risk that you're going out and taking there,
Yeah.
which is something that you definitely got
So
to watch out
I
for.
prefer Queen Jack being raised in later positions. I mean, maybe Dale had an incredibly huge stack, but it doesn't seem like it ever got to that stage where people did have stacks big enough for this.
Yeah.
So the raise with Queen Jack off, all it can do is get you in trouble, and it got him in trouble here. Divan finds Ace King, and Divan obviously,
On the
he
flop comes
flopped
through.
the king, and at this point, once the king's flopped, Dale has basically no. I mean, it's really difficult for Dale to catch up at this point, and it's these type of like Queen Jacks and Jack 10s and King Jacks in early position that can get you into so much trouble. They're just I just prefer playing them later on. Maybe depending on your chip stack, maybe you can start at hijack, cut off and button with a hand like Queen Jack, especially if it's suited. Then you might wanna play it there, or you might want to call a raise in position, also with Queen Jack suited. But yeah, the raise from under the gun it's
risky.
It is.
Yeah.
That's what
and,
it is.
and these are tips that, I mean, if you're starting out now, that's something that you should, maybe write down as you're hearing it now and process and consider something like this when it does come to you sitting under that kind of position. The flop comes King 8-7, the turn is 3, Rivers 10.
Yeah.
Divan immediately doubles up.
Yeah, once the turn is out, Dale has no more outs left. That's it. Hands over. River irrelevant.
So these are some of the hands that you can catch up on the Shuffle Up Poker website. But let's quickly update you as to where we are right now. We finally got into the final table. Let's put it up on screen. These are the guys that you can expect to be on the final table. There it is. David sitting on 800,000. Theo sitting on 2.7 million. Divan now, who we just spoke about, rather, chip leader on 5 million. Sean Governor 2.3 million. Is it MK or KM? We'll get his chip counts in just a moment. Lagan Zaki sitting on 2.9 million. Clifford 600,000. Emmanuel 1.2 and Michael 4.9. That's Michael and Divan sitting very close to each other.
Yeah, so this is, like I mentioned earlier, this is not good news for the rest of the table. It's great news for Divan that he's chip leader, but it's not the best news for the rest of the guys. And that's not to say that he's better or anything like that. He's just, I have a very hard time playing against this guy.
Yeah.
I know how well he uses his chips, and that's why I'm saying it's not going to be fun for the rest of the table, because he does use these chips very well. So, and Klacha as well again. Also, he definitely knows what he's doing. These guys all know what they're doing. They made it here.
They made it, yeah.
Like 183 players, there's 9 of them left. They're definitely doing something right.
All these guys are cashing in. Congratulations to all of them so far. Of course, by the end of this evening, we will have a event number 1 semi-freeze champion for November 2019, the WPT, excuse me, and Shuffle Up Poker King of the Stacks. We are just going to quickly give another update. Blinds are sitting at 75,000, 150,000. Quickly before we wrap up, let's talk about the other events that we can expect in the next day or two. Starting tomorrow, let's go to the tournament schedule. There we go. Let's talk about, obviously at the moment, currently happening, we are sitting with the semi-freeze, Omaha,
ladies and gents,
and the ladies and gentlemen. These are the 3 trophies that you can see over here. We will tomorrow have an update on winners that we have so far. Tomorrow, the Super High Roller, 75,000 Rand buy-in.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be big.
That's the big boys.
Those are
where
the big
boys play.
Starting off with 500,000 stacks, that's going to be kicking off at 3 o'clock, and it's limited to 1 re-entry per player. That's going to be big. We will be broadcasting later tomorrow evening about that, but that's going to be big.
We hope that we can get updates. We hope that we can get some hands from there.
Would you call it a bit of a slow game because of the
It is a bit slower, so there shouldn't be any all-ins tomorrow. Let's put it that way, unless they are.
Unless you got 75,000 Rand just to burn.
Unless there are some incredibly unlucky spots, quads over quads or quads versus straight flush, we shouldn't be seeing all the money going in from most of the players.
It's a 3-day event.
Yeah,
it's got to push out. Like
the blinds are an hour long. You do start with 500,000 chips. I think the blinds start quite small as well.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of play, and again, it's going to be the most experienced of the players that we have. It's going to be the best that South Africa has to offer. That's going to be sitting on those tables tomorrow, in the Super High Rollers. They know what they're doing. They have been through this hundreds of times before. And I just hope that we can get some really cool hands.
Well, if we do, we'll definitely be giving it to you tomorrow evening. We'll also be kicking off the live stream tomorrow at about 8:30 as well. But I reckon we can wrap up. We're going to go down and watch that final table. If you do want to catch all the updates on the blog, please go to shuffleuppoker.com. Go check out all the blog updates. Also on there, the chip counts, the cashing outs, the payouts, all of that will be up there as well.
Everything will be up there. Also, starting tomorrow, we have the 6 max and the
slow
grind.
Sorry, let's not forget about that. That's kicking off tomorrow as well. As you said, the slow grind. Also, aren't you playing the slow grind?
I'm playing the slow grind.
He's playing the slow grind.
I am playing the slow
grind. All right.
grind.
Well, we'll be watching you definitely without a doubt, and that also kicks off tomorrow. By the way, the slow grind rather at 6 o'clock. So if you want to come check it out, either check on the live stream, check the blogs, or we'll maybe see you. Thanks so much.
Thank you, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thanks for checking it out. Cheers. Bye bye.